Have you ever strolled through a beautiful park and felt a sudden, inexplicable chill? A feeling that the serene landscape holds a story much darker than it appears. Today, we're journeying to Cincinnati, Ohio, to Eden Park, a place of stunning vistas and lush greenery. But nestled within its beauty is a structure with a haunting past, the Spring House Gazebo. It's an iconic landmark, a picture-perfect spot for photos and quiet reflection. But beneath its charming exterior lies a tale of ambition, tragedy, and a name that has echoed through Cincinnati's history for over a century: George "Boss" Cox. To understand the Gazebo's story, we first need to understand the man behind it. George B. Cox wasn't born into power. He started his life in the mid-19th century as a bootblack, a shoeshine boy on the tough streets of Cincinnati. But Cox was smart, charismatic, and incredibly ambitious. He quickly learned that in the Gilded Age, real power wasn't just about money, it was about control. He worked his way up through the city's political machine, starting as a saloon owner, which in those days were unofficial community centers and political hubs. He delivered votes, he made connections, and he built a network of loyalty and fear. By the late 1880s, Boss Cox was the undisputed political king of Cincinnati. Nothing happened in the city without his approval. He controlled the police, the courts, and the city contracts. He was a master of patronage, rewarding his friends and punishing his enemies. Now, how does this powerful, controversial figure connect to our picturesque gazebo? Well, Eden Park itself was a jewel in Cincinnati's crown, and Cox, ever the showman, wanted to leave his mark on it. He commissioned the renowned architect Cornelius M. Foster to design a structure that would be both beautiful and functional. The Spring House Gazebo was built in 1900 for over one of the park's natural springs. Its unique design, with its Moorish and Romanesque influences, its colorful tile roof, and its elegant arches, was an instant sensation. It was a symbol of the city's prosperity and, by extension, a symbol of Cox's power. It was his gift to the people, a constant reminder of who was in charge. For years, people would come to the gazebo to take the waters, believing the spring had healthful properties. It was a social hub, a place of courtship and community. But the story takes a dark turn. Boss Cox's reign was not without its shadows. His political machine was notorious for corruption, voter intimidation, and graft. While he built parks and improved city infrastructure, many believed it was all funded by dishonest means. Journalists and reformers relentlessly attacked him, painting him as a tyrant who was bleeding the city dry. The pressure mounted, and public opinion began to turn against him. One of his fiercest critics was his own former friend and protege, a man named George B. Moerlein. Moerlein, a wealthy brewer, had once been a key part of Cox's machine, but they had a bitter falling out, and Moerlein became dedicated to exposing Cox's corruption. This is where the history becomes legend, and the legend becomes a ghost story. The details are murky, passed down through generations, but they all point to one fateful night. The story goes that George Moerlein, facing financial ruin and public disgrace after his battles with Cox, made his way to Eden Park. He walked to the very gazebo that symbolized his rival's power, this beautiful structure that stood for everything he had fought against. And there, in the quiet of the night, overwhelmed by despair, he ended his own life. The exact circumstances are lost to history, but the legend is powerful. The man who tried to topple the king died at the foot of his throne. This tragic event forever stained the gazebo's reputation. It was no longer just a beautiful landmark, it was now a site of tragedy, a place of deep sorrow. Almost immediately, whispers began. People visiting the park, especially at dusk or during the quiet hours of the night, started reporting strange occurrences around the Spring House. They would see a shadowy figure, a man in old-fashioned clothing, pacing near the gazebo, sometimes looking out over the Ohio River. Others would hear faint, mournful whispers on the wind when no one was around. A feeling of profound sadness would wash over them, a heavy, oppressive energy that was impossible to explain. Could it be the restless spirit of George Moerlein, forever tied to the place of his final moments? A spirit trapped by tragedy, unable to move on? Or perhaps, as some other theories suggest, it's the spirit of Boss Cox himself. Some say that even in death, Cox can't let go of his city and the symbols of his power. They believe he lingers, a spectral guardian of his legacy, forever watching over the park and the gazebo he built. The idea is that his immense pride and attachment to his creations were so strong that a piece of his consciousness was imprinted on a location. Think about it, a man who controlled an entire city and life, perhaps trying to maintain some semblance of that control and depth. Over the decades, these stories have only grown. Paranormal investigators and ghost hunters have flocked to the Spring House Gazebo. Armed with the MF meters, spirit boxes, and thermal cameras, many have captured compelling evidence. EVPs, or electronic voice phenomena, have reportedly recorded faint voices saying names like George or Leave. Others have photographed strange mists and orbs of light in and around the structure, particularly late at night. One of the most common reports is a sudden and dramatic drop in temperature, even on a warm summer evening, a classic sign often associated with a spiritual presence. Visitors who know nothing of the history often report feeling watched, or suddenly overwhelmed with an inexplicable sense of grief. It's a place where the veil between our world and the next seems particularly thin. So, what are we left with today? We have a stunning piece of architecture, a testament to a turbulent and fascinating period in Cincinnati's history. We have the story of a powerful political boss and the rival he drove to ruin. And we have over a century of ghost stories, personal experiences, and paranormal evidence that suggests something from that past has never truly left. Is the Spring House Gazebo haunted? Is it the sad spirit of George Moreline, the proud ghost of Boss Cox, or simply the weight of a dark history impressing itself upon the minds of visitors? Perhaps it's a combination of all three. The beauty of the gazebo is now inseparable from its tragedy. It stands as a silent monument, not just to architectural beauty, but to ambition, despair, and the enduring power of a good ghost story. The next time you find yourself in a beautiful, historic place, take a moment, look beyond the surface, listen to the quiet whispers of the past. You might just discover that the most captivating stories are the ones that are never truly over. The Spring House Gazebo in Eden Park is a perfect example of a place where history is not just something you read about in a book, but something you might just feel standing right beside you. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the dark history of the Spring House Gazebo. What do you think? Have you ever been there and experienced something strange? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy exploring the hidden histories and haunted tales of the world, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more adventures into the unknown. We'll see you next time.